Hey friends, it's great to see you. How are you? Have you ever been in that place where you're just trying to be positive, and then all you're getting is negative results? Well, this is what this talk is all about today, and I hope that it'll help you because there is a really big problem with this toxic positivity in the world right now. So I think that you're going to get a lot out of this talk. So watch it and make sure that you comment below about what your experience with that kind of toxic positivity is. Okay? Thanks for being here and enjoy the talk. I'll talk to you soon. The negative of the positive. We're going to talk about the negative of the positive today. Okay, so where do we start? This is a big, I was going to say this is a big subject, but actually it's super simple. It's super simple. All of you here know that on some level, the positive algorithm probably brought you to me. The positive algorithm brought you to things that you want to learn about, that you want to know about, that you want to grow with, right? So, I would imagine that a lot of us have a very similar algorithm. An algorithm, just so you know, is that the computer algorithm decides, oh, he keeps looking at red shirts. Let's show him a red shirt. Right? Or he keeps looking at vaccine stuff. Let's show him more vaccine stuff. This is all very, very, very thought out. Obviously, what just happened with the Facebook whistleblower, and I will say, this is definitely has to do with the topic. If you haven't watched the film, the documentary, The Social Dilemma, you definitely should watch that, for sure. So, my point being, if you start to look at these positive affirmation kinds of memes of people like me, you're going to be looking at them all the time. It'll keep coming up. And one of the biggest ones that kind of is the umbrella of a lot of this is positive vibes only. So there's a whole thing. Listen, my company is called Attract Positive Results. So there is nothing wrong with positivity at all. It's better than negativity, obviously. But here's the deal. I'm going to tell you a story. I used to notice people when I used to go to these things. You know those big conferences? Hay House used to have a lot of them. I Can Do It conference. Those kinds of Celebrate Your Life conference, I Can Do It conference, all that stuff, right? So you go to see speakers, you go to do workshops, but then there's also vendors all around selling crystals and unicorns and I'm being so mean, but crystals and unicorns and all that stuff, right? In that milieu, I love that word, you tend to find people that kind of, this is not a judgment, this is just an observation, that tend to be on the positive path. They're on the positive path. And everything's positive. I'm only going to look at the positive, no negative. Everything is rainbows and unicorns and sunshine and fairies, and it's really great and it's really wonderful. And they're really positive. They're super positive. It's really great. And they're kind of like, okay, great. They're really positive. They're super positive. And they are definitely only positive vibe people. Look at the positive. You look at the negative, you will have a horrible life. So don't ever look at the negative. Look at the positive. And you know these people. You know these people. You might have been one of these people in the past. You might be one now. There is no judgment here. And inside, if you're not one of those people and you're having the experience of one of those people, I know this is a radical generalization. Just stick with me on this. And if you really tune in, when someone's like, I gotta be positive. Well, I only want to hear positive things, da 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 da. Inside, if you're honest with yourself, inside you go, something's wrong. Something's wrong with them. You can feel it. It's not natural. It's not natural. So, for me personally, my intuitive self with when it's somebody like that, this is not a judgment. I'm just using this as an example. I always think, oh gosh, something's gonna snap. I can feel it in my intuitive self. I can be like, ooh, shit, the shit is going to hit the fan. Because stuff happens in life. I'm trying to really use my words carefully. Stuff happens in life that is not always positive. And so if we get on that bandwagon of only positive, only positive, only positive. When stuff happens, and when I'm talking about stuff, tragedy happens, catastrophe happens, chaos happens in the illusion, in this life itself, not in this life, but in this life, then a lot of times that person can't handle it. They don't know what to do. And they've trained themselves so far into being in this place of only positive that when the shit hits the fan, they fall apart. The truth is, that is not a spiritual path. That is confirming duality. It's confirming duality. Because if you're constantly, and so that's the extreme, right? But the more subtle versions of this will prop up in all of our lives, because our nature as human beings is to go to what's easy, to go to what's good, which is fine. And you want that. But if you're constantly waiting for things to work out, if you're constantly waiting for the good thing to happen, you're screwed. You're screwed. Because duality states that if you're not winning, you're failing. If you're not positive, you're negative. If you're not successful, you're a failure. If people don't love you, or they love you, you're pretty or you're fat. You got good skin, you got bad skin. This is duality. And this is the perfect soil for the ego. It's the perfect soil for the ego. Because what does the ego want you to do? The ego wants to do everything it can from keeping you from feeling peace. Positivity is not peace. Happiness comes and goes. Peace can be with you if the shit's hitting the fan or everything's going your way. So never look for the positive. Find the peace in everything, because the peace is there. It's there. So this is the negative of the positive. Now, let me say this, then we're going to look at the comments, because I really want to hear what you have to say about this. When I teach law of attraction, I have to kind of teach it in duality so that you can escape duality. That's a longer conversation. But so I ask people, What do you want? What do you want? That's a big question in general. But sometimes we go, what do you want in your career? What do you want in your relationship? Whatever. I want a loving, supportive relationship. Great. Now look at what is a non-loving relationship. Oh, when people don't speak to you kindly, when they don't ask how your day is, when they don't do things for you. So you kind of need to look at what's not working so you can see what is working. But this is what people do constantly because of the ego. You dwell on the negative side. Remember, we are living in a dualistic illusion, but that's not the truth. That's not the truth. So what we go is, oh, I don't want an abusive marriage. I don't want an abusive lover. I don't want an abusive teacher. I don't want abusive, I don't. And so you're constantly focusing on what you don't want, and that's exactly what you get in your life. I don't want a job where I feel trapped. I don't want a job where people tell me what to do. I don't. But they never go over the here. Maybe not. They go, oh, I want a job where I feel valued, whatever. So the focus in law of attraction is you've got to be able to say, oh, I'm looking over here in duality. In duality, where is my focus? Is it here? Is it here? Do I even have a focus, right? So from that perspective, looking towards the positive is a good thing. But you're not negating the negative. That's a double negative. You're not negating the negative. Here's a triple one. Don't negate the negative. Isn't that good? Don't negate the negative because what you resist persists. You will create exactly what you defend against if you always are looking at the negative, right? So you've got to find this way of surfing through, and that's a whole other conversation, right? You don't even need to surf through, but that's a whole other conversation. So that's the negative side of the positive. So don't fall into that, everybody. Don't fall into that. Being on a spiritual path, a true spiritual path, not just another like, oh, everyone's doing this now thing. You have to be intelligent. You got to use your noggin, right? As they say, you got to use your noggin and you have to be like, and you have to use your intuition. Sometimes your intuition is like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And you could have been going down that path and then suddenly you go, this isn't working for me anymore. Don't worry about changing your path. Don't worry about that. Because I will tell you this, the majority of stuff that's being sold to you as a spiritual path, there's no judgment here. I have to say, I'm going to say it again. And I'm being really defensive about it, but I'm just going to say it. The majority of things in general that are being sold as a spiritual path are usually band-aids just to make you feel better. Period. Not saying anything else about that.